Do you mind?
If you must.
What are you writing there?
Just making notes. Observations on the flora, mostly. Is there something on your mind, Tal?
If you don't mind me asking, you're the first Ayelen I've ever met. I always thought your people spoke with a hiss. They always do in the books and plays. But you speak Vox the same as the rest of us.
I suppose we all kidnap children from the countryside and experiment on them, too. I would have thought Spawn would be a little more sensitive to this sort of thing. How would you feel if I asked why you aren't swinging from a tree by the neck? All the Spawn I have ever read about end up doing that. I suppose you burst into flame when you are angry. The hiss is a stereotype, and a most unwelcome one. It is no different from any other speech impediment. Some of our kind are born with a forked tongue. Thinking we all speak that way is like meeting Wren folk with a stammer and assuming they all speak that way.
Helga, I didn't mean any offence. I'm just curious. What did you mean by swinging by the... Oh.
There is something else on your mind, Talon?
Yeah. You asked earlier about how many times I've been beyond the line. Have you spent much time out here?
Truthfully? No. No one has. Saren talks a big game, but anyone who spends any real time out here does not come back. I've probed and prodded for my studies, but this is the longest I have spent in the wilds.
You seem to know a lot about them, though.
As High Mother, I was apprentice to the last High Mother of the Wupo Cops.
Yeah, of course.
Was there something else, Talon?
It's about earlier. You stayed silent with Saren about the wilds.
Such discussions are filled with speculation and opinion. Much energy is spent on them to very little end.
Yeah, I mean, but the wilds are a threat to everyone, right? I don't understand why a Vanguard Ranger or High Mother of the Wupo Cops would feel so...
It is a matter of perspective. May I tell you a story, Tal? It was one of the first stories the old High Mother told me as a child. I found it quite enlightening.
Sure. I love stories. My husband tells the old fables at home.
This one is not well known. It does not follow the usual patterns of myth and legend.
All the better. Be nice to hear a new one. It'll keep my mind off all this.
In the time before, long before the era of silence, long before the Empire, and long before La Tari, when the gods were young and first considered creating we mortals, there was a great deal of disagreement and discontentment. Treveta, Ai, the gods of pathos, and many of those we know as the gentler gods, opposed the creation of mortals. They thought it cruel to give birth to life so at the mercy of forces beyond itself, destined to suffer, destined to perish, destined to hunger without satisfaction. But Gormachin, Saldo, and the pantheons of Logos argued forcefully that there must be balance. That where there is infinitude, there must too be found finitude. Where there are gods, there must too be mortals. The gods were at an impasse. It was eventually the mad god Hollis who came up with a way to break the deadlock. A solution that was only possible for the unique powers of the chaotic deity. Hollis advised that the gods simply ask the mortals, before they were born, before they were ever created even, if they wished to live a mortal life, or would rather never exist at all. To make the offer fair, Enclave insisted that the mortal who was asked must be made fully aware of what the offer of life entailed. It was agreed, therefore, that this mortal be granted the opportunity to experience mortality in its fullness before they be permitted to choose. Only Hollis had the power to make such a paradox possible, in which a creature could exist before its creation, and in which it could experience mortality without ever perishing. For how can that which has yet to live die? There was, of course, some umming and ahhing, some haggling over the finer details of the arrangement, and, of course, many wagers placed before they could begin. Hollis weaved his magic, and the unmade creature lived its unmade life in its unmade world. When it all came to an end, it was called before the gods onto the celestial plane to finally settle the question: would mortals choose to exist at all? The creature smiled at the gods, staring at them with its unmade eyes, simply silent. And there the creature sits still, as the gods await its answer. Even Hollis unable to breathe true life into it, nor return it to the oblivion of never existence, without its reply.
Right. Enlightening, yeah.
It's not supposed to make sense. The things that are bigger than us, the madness, the wildlands. Maybe we're all just the fever dream of a mad god, ready to blink into the neverance at the utterance of a word.
I definitely exist. Rue and Lauren exist. My family, Kur exists. The wildland definitely exist. Look around you. And if we don't fight back, it'll destroy everything. And it'll have all been for naught.
Would it?
What?
All have been for naught. Even if we find the children and bring them home, would our loss render this meaningless? If La Tari whimpered its last breath, what does that really change? The love you have given and received to your husband and your child, would this be meaningless?
If we let the wilds win, everything we have dedicated our lives to would be pointless.
Then we know what answer the creature should give to the gods, don't we?
You and Saren are made for each other.
What do you know about the wilds, Tal?
Same as everyone. Blights appeared after the gods left, along with the affliction and the orphaning. The wilds have been spreading across Latari for hundreds of years, and we are fighting back.
Why do we fight, Tal?
To save the world. That's what we are doing. That's why Kur can't fall. That's why Ansa has been fighting day and night for as long as anyone can remember, to stop the spread here and to protect the safe zones, to protect our brothers and sisters in a meadow.
Really? Kur is holding back the blight.
Every damn day. You live here. You see it. We burn it back. We burn back the wilds. We kill its creatures and we hold it here. No one else fights like we do. Everyone in the Vanguard says so.
What about the gap?
What about it?
What would happen if the Nunu's gap closed? If the wildland just filled it in?
We'd be cut off from a meadow and from resupply.
And we'd all die. What is holding the gap open?
Well, it's...
Nothing. Nothing is holding the gap open. Nothing we understand, anyway.
Then we have some good luck. That's no...
How big are the wildlands?
I don't know. Hundreds of miles?
Ansa is hundreds of miles. The wildlands are many thousands of times larger than that, and it grows hundreds of miles each year. How big is the safe zone?
I don't know, obviously.
Okay. Which do you think is bigger? The wildlands or the safe zone? The wilds cover almost everything, Tal. The safe zone is a fraction of its size. All the nations of the North Hub combined, what is left of them, are a speck.
That just means that it's all the more important for us to fight back, and fight back hard. You protect the cops. The only unblighted woodland in Kur. Surrounded on all sides by the wildland blight, but it's not affected. You witches have prevented the blight from spreading there for generations.
Do you have any idea how we have protected the cops for so long, Tal?
You witches have some secret power or something. It doesn't matter. If it can be kept out of the cops, it can be kept out of elsewhere. Anywhere. It's a symbol of hope. It's proof we can fight and win.
Win? It isn't even a contest.
What was that?
It seems we are being watched.
I'll get Saren. Saren. Gods, where are you? Ayelen. Shit.
Quiet. Something approaches. Circling the camp.
Drugrid. Ayelen, I nearly shit myself. Where's Saren? We need to get out of here.
We wild, Squishy. Where we go, it don't follow.
What? We need to go now.
Path is wide, position good. Maybe we can kill it. Grab weapon.
No,
Wait.
we can...
I smell all of the hatchlings.
What? The children?
One hatchling, not alone, with something.
With what?
It smells of death.
Saren crept through the brush as he had done many times before. This was always the most risky part of any patrol. If you left the path, then you left the ways. If you left the ways, there was no telling what you might encounter. It was risky, but it was necessary. If you attract the attention of a wildling creature, it could wait in the shadows, isolate you, and pick off your party one by one, playing tricks on your mind until up was down and down was up. They really expected you to enter the brush to find them. They felt safe there, protected. This is what made the Rangers so deadly. It was also what made them so few in number. Saren had looped around, moving further into the waves before leaving the track and returning toward the camp. He had a good idea where the creature was hiding. It was barely a stone's throw from the encampment, likely one of the younger creatures which had not yet learned to hunt. He needed to dispatch it before it called for its broodmother or its brethren. It wasn't long before Saren realized that something was wrong. He could hear whispering up ahead, soft, childlike, and speaking in Amedouin, in Vox. If he was hallucinating, then it was already too late for him. The wilds had him now. Saren paused, his pulse quickening, awaiting the deadly strike to come. But nothing happened. Sweat trickled from his brow, down his cheeks and over his stubble. The voice continued. The brush was too thick to see or hear clearly, but it was close. Saren continued to move forward, slowly, carefully, still anticipating his death at any moment. His stomach churned, and the bile threatened to jump up his throat. No, it was clearer now. It was a female voice, a child. They were comforting someone or something. There was the thick smell of rot in the air now. It was almost overpowering. The acidic bile which threatened to lurch earlier now seized the opportunity to leap into Saren's mouth. He held back his gag and retch, instead swallowing the vile liquid back into his stomach. They were just on the other side of this passion bell shrubbery. Saren, with dagger in one hand, reached slowly for the short sword at his waist. He was certain he had prepared his leather scabbard with oil and cloth, but he always tensed momentarily as he drew the blade. Too often had he seen his comrades slain in gruesome fashion because of the slightest sound of scraping as they drew their weapon. Saren never forgot to prepare his sheath. The blade came free silently, and Saren's body coiled like a spring as he prepared to launch his attack. He stopped, suddenly realizing his error. Placing the dagger in his mouth, he rested his hand gently on the ground, sensing the earth for any sign of movement, or the portentous double thump of the carrot's powerful hearts beating as it laid in wait under the surface. The only thing more deadly than the wilds, and the only natural creature known to have adapted to the harsh and inhospitable conditions. Saren would rather be taken by the wilds than struck by the carrot. His death would certainly come quicker. Satisfied that there were no carrots lying in wait amongst the passion bells, Saren retrieved the blade from his mouth and again readied to launch. Just as he was about to crash through and confront whatever lay beyond, he was forced to pause again, almost toppling over as he caught and balanced his momentum. There was another voice now, but this one was familiar. It was the witch.
Ni hel ni handetria, telithi weden Ayelen, autella grimana.
Leave him alone, please. You are scaring him.
Quiet, child. You have no idea what you are dealing with.
Bobby, please calm down. She's here to take us home. Bobby, don't say things like that. She's here to help. Please, he's hungry and scared. Please?
Ariuk Jakier Miao, like Umlat Noakorin, Avenida.
Forever what? I don't understand.
You can understand my words, little one? What have you done?
I don't know what you're saying. What agreement? What trade?
Naukriuk Uks Al Avas Lavlich.
Release me from what?
Malkruk Lavi, Avruk.
You aren't gonna look for the others.
Silence, child. Do you want to live? When you look at that thing, what do you see?
Thing?
The thing which has you pinned.
Pinned? Robbie is hugging me. Robbie is not a thing.
Naukluk Lavi.
Look again.